our blog on Facebook live streaming on Kardec Radio. We do this every Sunday. And of course, I will load this up into our YouTube, BitChute, and BitTube channels. So please subscribe, hit the bell, give us a comment, and share. And also share this Facebook live stream on Kardec Radio. Today, we're going to do something pretty exciting. And we have gotten, my wife and I go to a Spiritist Center in Rio de Janeiro, and we're kind of locked here for a while since there's no flights going in and out anywhere really. And so the nice thing about being here is my wife is on a kind of a chat group, and she gets sent messages from other Spiritist centers as well as her own, the Seara Fraterna Spiritist Center, where we both go, but from spirits who are talking about our current pandemic. And so I thought it would be very good for us to go over quite a few of these. And one of them is the most important. And let me start on that right away. Now, this is a message from Euripedes Barsanulfo. And this is done by the medium Sueli Caldas. Now, I'm probably destroying that name. Forgive me for that. I think she's a very well-known medium. My wife had to tell me how to pronounce her name. Of course, I forgot already. And of course, this is wonderful getting these messages. I wish at some time in the future, we will have more Spiritist centers in the United States where they will then send out to other people messages from spirits that are topical or, just whatever comes, because it's very interesting to see what comes from spirits. There's usually nothing that's not needed, right? It's always something important. And so I just want to make sure I'm going to cover in this video quite a few messages concerning the current pandemic of COVID-19. Now, the spirit Euripides implores us as spiritists to stop our negative thoughts and feelings and broadcast out to all a positive note. There's too much negativity. And what the Spirit wants us to say is that we are all immortal spirits who have our lives planned out in advance for our own good. And whatever happens to each individual, it is for the best. And of course, we know that as spiritists. They're telling us, kind of in a summary, the world will survive and thrive after this pandemic is over. And this is just one step in our quest, as a collective quest, to become a planet of regeneration. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring up each one of these so you can see them in the stream. Let me bring it up here so it's bigger for you. And I'll read it. There might be some parts that are locked out because my picture is in the corner, but I will read this so we can all learn it together. And of course, I'm doing separate videos on these, so I'll put those up into YouTube also. So this was called Out of the Fire. And of course, I said before, the medium Sueli Caldas. And this was sent, and it said, get this message out to everybody. It's from the spirit Euripedes Barsanulfo. And here's what he says. Dear brothers, in the face of this crisis that has befallen our people, in the face of this wave of pessimism that is taking over Brazilians, now, of course, I think we should take this to everyone, just in the United States too. And of course, this was a message from a spirit to Brazilian mediums, and as in Portuguese, I translate this. In the face of the clashes that the country is going through, we are inviting all spiritists to engage in this campaign. There is an urgent need for faith, hope, and optimism to be reborn in the hearts. The wave of pessimism, discredit, and discouragement is so great that even those who are well-intentioned and aspiring to do something constructive and useful for the country at any level find themselves stunted in their purposes, stifled in their desires, hitting insurmountable barriers. It is necessary to change this spiritual climate. It is imperative that the renewed breath of confidence and faith in the high destinies of our nation sweeps away the miasmas of discouragement. It is necessary to open clearings and spaces for the light of hope to shine. Only through hope will we be able to regain the strength of our suffering and tired people. Spiritists must not join the ranks of discouragement. We have an unavoidable duty to transmit courage, instill courage, excuse me, rekindle hopes, and awaken faith. Faith in our future, the certainty that we are destined for a noble mission in the people's concert, but that our hesitation, our neglect can delay our responsibility, our task. We are aware of all this and let ourselves be carried away by discouragement, this virus of unimaginable danger. Let me bring up the next one so that I want to show all these so you can read along. We've actually read one paragraph ahead. There. Now, let's stop here for a second. So he's talking about discouragement and their companions, and discouragement and in pessimism. So look, in the spirit world, thought is action, and it's important. It's important for all of us as spiritists, and actually everyone. And this is really in for the media too. The media, as far as I can see so far, not all, but most of them are trying to spread clickbait and reasons for people to watch them, as they usually do. They try to tell you horrible things to make you scared, so you watch the news. They are doing a grave disservice to many nations on earth. So please pray for them to open their minds and try to change what they are saying so they can be positive. Give us the facts. Yes, the facts may be a bit nervous to people, but at least don't always try to spread panic like I'm seeing. So it's very important, and I think the spirits are telling us the same thing. Don't spread panic, right? So I'll read this. Discouragement and their companions, discouragement, uncertainty, pessimism, go together and spread very subtly, weakening the individual, the groups, the community itself. They are like termites corroding structures in silence, not infrequently inflated by disheveled minds, by enemies of progress, by agents of chaos. This virus expands and spreads contagiously, defeating human beings before the fight. Given this picture of negative forces, any reactions become very difficult. Therefore, it is up to the spiritists to fight for the transmission of this general state. So again, this is very, very important. Let each center, and he's talking about Spiritist Center, and I think also this should go for all the Spiritist Centers in the United States, and anybody out there listening to me who are spiritualists. Let each center, each group, each meeting focus on this campaign. May they strive for a renewal of the dark psychosphere, and may people who are really suffering and overwhelmed by trials find in our house a climate of peace, optimism, and hope. That you take our words everywhere, those who can do it, transmit it through the media, which, of course, I am doing right now. And please spread this out. Talk to your friends. I'll carry on. We need to infect our movement with these positive forces in order to effectively help our country to grow and move towards progress. Now, I think is in here. I'll talk about it when I get here later in the message. It is these forces that impel the individual to work, to believe in himself, in his own value and ability. It is these forces that lead you to believe and fight for a better future. Now, let me bring up the third one here. Now, this is what's important. My brothers, the world is not a rudderless ship. We know that Jesus is at the helm and that we will not crash. Enough of doubts and uncertainties that only delay progress and hinder work. Let us be supportive, yes, with the pain of our neighbor. Let us do what we can for him. We have an undeniable duty to do so, especially by transmitting the clarification that the Spiritist doctrine provides, but also that solidarity exists in our ranks so that we can continue in the blessed work, united and confident in the preparation of the future of peace for all desired. And let us not forget that if Brazil is the heart of the world, it will only be the homeland of the gospel if this gospel is being felt and lived by each one of us. And that is by Euripedes Barsanulfo, I'm sorry if I pronounce it wrong, by Sueli Caldas Schubert, by the medium. I think she is pretty famous here in Brazil and probably other places too. So, what is Euripides telling us? Now, some of you may not know when he talks about Brazil as the heart of the world. In the book on the Way to the Light, they talk about, and also other books, there's also a book still in Portuguese talking about Brazil and how it's going to be the future Spiritism. And so what Jesus has set up and prepared for us is Brazil would be the heart of the world for Spiritism, and the United States would be the mind for Spiritism. So when he is saying everybody should do that, should get out and try to spread Spiritism and spread positive thinking, well, we have a co-responsibility that we need to also spread that, because we are United States, we are behind Brazil right now. There's, I think, almost 5% of Brazilians are Spiritists, and the United States is very, very small, but we need to spread and get bigger so then we can make an impact. When things like this happen, what do we tell people? What do we tell our friends? What do we tell our neighbors? We first, we don't ignore, like Euripides tells us, we don't ignore their concerns, but we say, we are all an immortal soul. That what is happening now is happening for a purpose. Those who experience, maybe death by this, you might want to put it better than I'm putting it to you right now. Do so, and there was a plan. Their destiny was planned for this, and it was for their own good. Now, I know that's hard to take for people who are new to Spiritism, so we might want to really dance around that and kind of bring other things in Spiritism first, is that we all of us have predetermined trials and tribulations. We have a date when we are done with our trials and tribulations, and we go through our trials and tribulations to make us a better spirit. And some of us may finish those trials because of the virus. Now, I don't think many, because I've read in other ones that it's really not meant to be that harmful for Brazil and United States. It's more something that's going to hit Europe and Asia. I could be wrong on that one. That's kind of what I read from another one that I'm not going to put today because I'm not sure about that message, but it was interesting. I might do it later if some of the things they say in that message actually come true. And I wasn't sure it didn't say who the medium was and who this, and so I didn't want to bring that on this this broadcast. But the important thing is to say God loves us all. We are immortal. We have a plan for all of us to one day ascend to the highest levels of heaven. And don't worry, what will happen is under Jesus Christ's leadership, and everything will turn out okay. We won't, and I've also read where I think I'll go on this later. Financially, there will be some downturn, but it won't be this great depression that people are saying it is. So do not panic. Send out positive thoughts. Know that you're going to be okay. Know that the spirit world loves you, and each one of us is going to be helped by any spirits that are available, and that if someone's worried, pray and meditate and ask for help, and you will be given, because the spirit world right now is watching all of us. It's very important. It's the spirits all around us. They know. Look, the spirit world planned this. And I'll get this in the next couple of messages. The spirit world planned. They knew this was going to happen, and they wanted the effect of this to lead us to something greater. So let me go to the next message, and this is from. Let me bring this up. This is from the cruise. Behind this one. Bring this back here so everybody can read it. Okay. Let's see. This is the correct one. Nope, this is the wrong one. Sorry. Behind this one. Let me bring them. I've got a lot of these to bring up, so I want to make sure I've got the right one. Okay. Where the fire is that one? Here we are. Okay, this is from, hope everybody can see that. This is a message from the Spirit Francisco de Menzies Diaz de Cruz, and that was received yesterday by the medium Alexandre Vieira of the Spiritist Council of the state of Rio de Janeiro. And here is his message. Welcome. Every transformation process brings its pains. Today, humanity is facing yet another period of transformation. The elements that make up the planetary system, including the spiritual world, are in constant activity due to the pandemic that is taking place. We know that the consequences of the transformation go beyond the physical. Although the carnal vehicle is the most weakened, minds and perispirit are also involved in these factors. We need more than ever to look at man in a broader way, not forgetting that we are more than the physical body. The mind, contained within each individual on earth, with their past of different experiences, keeps different ways of facing problems and situations. In fact, many suffer more emotionally from the viral contamination. Some already have preconceptions about widespread forms of contagion and determine a frightening method for their end on earth. Of course, he's talking about negative thoughts. Others make farewell plans in an attitude of desperation, counting the days to the end. So again, this is what the Spirit is telling us, that people are very, worried about this much more than they should be, and they shouldn't be, right? They should be less worried about this. So let me carry on with the message. Okay, here we are. This is from the cruise. I'm carrying on to page 2 of the message. We need to deliver care. So this is exactly what Euripides told us. Start by caring about yourself and each other with your needs, and face the reasons of despair within you, silencing fears and attitudes of imbalance. Once you are comfortable, extend the help to the others with effective words of guidance, comfort, and hope, nourishing these spirits as tools of help. It is the Spiritists today with that expanded awareness that we speak. Of course, these are all messages to Spiritist groups. So, and I'm talking to everybody in the English-speaking world, right? Get to be positive. Do what you can. Make people feel comfortable. If you don't act panic and you act calm and cool, others around you will feel the same. Okay, I'll repeat it. It is a Spiritist today with that expanded awareness that we speak, with the holistic view of being that will mitigate the sources, the origin of fears and thoughts of last days, the anguishes of catastrophic destinies. What is he saying? He's saying that if we look at our life as we should, as spiritists should, this life is just one of many. We are here on earth going to school, going through our lessons, one lesson after another. Nothing's meant to punish us. This pandemic is not meant to punish us. It's another stimuli, right? Because that's all our trials and tribulations are. They're each stimuli to stimulate our character and changes in our character and personality, to stimulate our emotions, so we learn the lessons that were assigned to us. Each person may learn different lessons differently, but the spirit world knows what they're doing. They're collectively looking at us and helping us move forward by keeping us home and talking to each other. And I'll get that into a later message. There's a lot of interesting messages here. Okay, remember that great commitment unites us. After all, we are present here at the moment of events. Here, we are in constant working, meaning the spirit world, and soon we shall see the sun shining on our relieved hearts again, for the certainty that the evil is gone and the good has settled. The new man is not blind to the reality he must face, but he is equipped with courage, selflessness, and determination. Let us build the next day of transformation with our actions today. Welcome, Francisco de Menendez Diaz de Cruz. So this is another message of trying to be positive and looking at our life differently, right? Looking at our life. So not just this one life that we go, oh my God, I'm going to lose my life, or worse, like the man has this next message, I'm going to lose my money. This is all meant for a reason. Okay, let me bring up the next message. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them as we're going, because I know this is pretty topical. Okay, let me find the next one here. Okay, make sure, hold on a second. I think this next one is by Arakan. Yes, Arakan. And to me, this is a very interesting message too. Let me get a sip of water. Okay. I think this message reveals let me bring this up, sorry. This message even is kind of a broader outlook of the spirit world and what they think, what they know, I shouldn't say think, and what they're planning for the earth. This message was psychographed on Thursday, March 12th. And actually, I already have a short YouTube video on this message. I have two, this one and the next one by the Spirit Leal. And I will make sure those are short YouTube that hopefully more people can see. These longer videos, less people look at. And this one's mostly just for our spiritists and spiritualists, brothers and sisters that are watching us on Sundays. But I think this will be good for everyone to see. And I've gotten positive feedback from quite a few people. Okay, so this message was Thursday, March 12th. And this was during the medium mystic meeting of the Spiritist Fraternity Sister Seara, probably pronounced it wrong, Center, by the medium Alexandra Miranda Lima. This is what the Spirit Arakan said. The powerful on earth are faced with something they cannot control. It is useless to impose physical barriers to something that goes unnoticed by the eyes. Suddenly, scientists and leaders from around the world are faced with a virus that they cannot explain, they cannot stop. So, let's stop there for a second. A lot of things what the spirit world does, it's to affect the leaders. Like when Jesus came, and what they've said in the book On the Way to the Light, Christianity was a lot of the reason for it to be there is for the leaders of Rome to to adopt it and become nicer people, not have so many slaves, not try to, conquer countries, right? Try to be, good leaders, to be the city on the hill. That's what the spirit realm had planned for Rome, to be the city on the hill, not to be the world, the conqueror of the known world around the Mediterranean, but to be an example. Of course, they did not do this. And so you'll see these things from the spirit world. And there's a lot of the messages are kind of like focus on, the leaders of the world. And they're saying, okay, there's this virus. You can't control this. What are you going to do? Is it going to make you think about things? Let's carry on. In the invisible eyes of the brothers of light, a spectacle of rare beauty is revealed. Now he's talking about the spirits, the spirits in the levels of heaven around us, changing the world's scene, reducing the disagreements among peoples, making men return to their homes in a habit long abandoned by modern society. Now, isn't this interesting? Just so many, not everyone, but so many people have, the bar culture or going out, and they don't stay with their family, or they do different things. So this is really trying to get people to come together, talk to each other, and be with each other, and appreciating each other, appreciating your kids. The children are now being essentially in a lot of places homeschooled, right? The internet's being used. The parents can get involved in how their children are taught, or they get involved with their spouses, their significant others, whatever. It's making people communicate together when so many of us spend most of the day in the office, or even when we go out to eat, right? You see people on the table reading their, texting or reading their smartphones. So this is kind of taking the rug out of people's usual routine, and say, okay, there, something's different. And then he says, next sentence, in addition to the fear of death, there is the wonderful experience of spiritual renewal. Then he tells us, hey, this is part of the plan. Mass discarnations are part of the current panorama of the terrestrial globe. Whether due to biological causes or natural disasters, the time is ripe for change. So this catastrophe wasn't just a chaotic thing happening in Wuhan, China. This was probably somehow, this is the way the spirit world works, is they take things that are happening and then he help move them along, right? So whoever either leaked, spread this virus accidentally was, probably kind of led to be in the right spot, or the wrong spot in the wrong time, maybe I should say, to have this virus leak and jump to humans. So this was planned, is to say, okay, this is gonna pull the rug out from people. This is gonna kind of give you a scare on two fronts, your life and your finances, right? They're both happening because the whole world economy is like stopping for a bit, but it will start again. So, and then he said, mass disincarnations are part of the current panorama. So let's give you some examples. When the spirit world kind of gave up and said, okay, Rome, you're not going to be a force for good. You're going to be a force for your, making yourself wealthier. So we're just going to let Rome, we're going to let the the dark ages occur and let Rome fall. That's kind of almost, a society disaster. In the book On the Way to the Light, the volcano, the eruption in Pompeii, right? And they just took the whole city. That was kind of another warning. And of course, people in the old times actually would know that was a warning. Here we think it's just, no one can believe that. That's nature. Well, Spiritism tells us there's more to nature than just this chaotic things happening. And this virus is one of them. This is one of the plans by God and Jesus to spur the earth as a collective to become better. So let me carry on. So the time is right for change. This includes the way of thinking, the way man behaves towards others, towards nature, with everything that surrounds him. So you notice right now, no one's talking about war or things like that. They're all trying. A lot of nations are trying to help each other, which is very nice. Everyone who is affected directly or indirectly by this virus is given the opportunity to change, be it the habits of life, the concepts about earthly existence, and even about the goodness and the prevalence of God's will over all things. Now, this is a good short couple sentences to kind of show us how we can approach people who are worried about this current situation, this pandemic, is say, these things that happen could be an opportunity, right? Could be an opportunity to make our lives better, for us to show our love and caring for our the ones close to us in a more demonstrative manner, right? To be a better partner to our spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, and to try and connect right with each other in a better manner. This is probably giving us a hint of how we can approach people who come to us and say, I'm very nervous, I'm worried. Now, for those who know more about spiritualism and spiritism, and knowing that our whole earth is going to go through this change of vibration and harmony, Arakan is telling us, finally, the Earth is traveling through the moment of changing its vibratory pattern to enter the age of regeneration. All spirits connected to your orb, whether incarnated or discarnated, are undergoing significant changes to adapt to the new vibrational pattern. Let us have faith and courage to face these challenging times, certain that everything happens for the progress and for the good of humanity. So Arakan's telling us this is not a slight little thing that's happened that's going to, take out the people who need to go back to the spirit world. This is another step saying, yes. And Spiritism have told us since the year 2000 that we're at the beginning of the change to enter a planet of regeneration. Now you can see one of the steps. Of course, we've been told before that quite a few very important people are reincarnating on Earth to help lead us. Emmanuel, who was the spirit mentor of Chico Xavier, he was born, I think, around the year 2000. He's 19 or 20 now. We've also been told that Socrates will be reincarnated, Buddha will be reincarnated, Joanna de Angelis will be incarnated. Many spirits from advanced planets will come here as politicians, doctors, scientists. So there is a concerted effort to move us all to this wonderful next step. So we just had a message. We said, this is from Gabriel. We just finished our gospel at home, and I asked my 13-year-old son to find a lesson from the book Fonte Viva in order to read. So they were chuckled when they read this sickness, 86, this sickness. So that's funny. So yeah, it's amazing. When you do, let me get off track. When you do a gospel at home, and people pick a page, so a lot of times the spirits will guide you to pick a certain page, and so you just never know. And that's another good reason. So let me get back. So Arakan is really revealing a lot to me. I thought this was. I like the message by Euripides telling us we need to be positive, but this message by Arakan was like, okay, this is part of the process. For spirits, this is the great thing about being a spiritist. You are plugged in. You can understand not only your own life, the lives of people around you, but the trajectory of society, politics, nations, right? You know that nations who are aggressive and are taking advantage of others, just like maybe corporations or people are, there will be a day of reckoning. They will say, no, I'm sorry. We're going to have to teach you another lesson. This is why you go through history and you see empires, wax and wane. It's all part of the lesson for humanity. These empires, our nations, I know it's important to each of us individually, but if you look at your life as an immortal spirit and, a million years is nothing to you, the current state of politics on earth isn't that important. What is important is for people to take the stimuli that is being given to them, meaning the virus, and use it in a positive manner, as Arakan says, look, this is God's plan. This is, there's goodness in everything. To what us, in our little time frame, we think, oh, it's horrible. But if you look at it a longer time frame, that this is happening, that's giving people the stimuli to change themselves, and that eventually the earth will be a planet of regeneration, and that those of us who understand that try to be as good as possible, which we all are in process of, that's why we're on this planet, we will someday be able to live on this earth that will be the paradise that it should be, where there'll be no wars, hate, envy, jealousy. All that will be much lessened. This is what we're all working for. And these things, this pandemic right now, is actually a positive sign, meaning that this great ship called Earth is having, the rudder is moving a little bit. And the spirits are talking to us and telling us this. So, to me, this is all extremely exciting. Now, let me get to the next one. So this is from the Spirit Leal. I have a lot here to show, so I just want to make sure. Oh, I think it's back here. There we go. Okay, now this one you can read pretty well too. I tried to make these larger. And for those listening on Kardec Radio, of course, I will have this video up, either later today or tomorrow morning. And I will do separate videos on the YouTube channel, BitChute channel, of each one of these, which I have a couple of them already done. And I will put on the description of each video, I will put this whole message so you can read it yourself. Now, just to let you know, I use a Google Translator. I went through and I tried to change some things. I can see some things that I read them that I probably didn't catch because I was trying to get ready for this video, because I've gotten quite a few of these messages like this within today. And I wanted to bring this out today because I think it was so important to do what the Spirit Euripides told us to, is to send positive thoughts and help each other so people are not overly worried about this. Okay, let's take the next one. Now, again, this is another good message. This is from the Spirit Leal. This is what he says. Friends, the disease that scares us is just a tool of conscience for the readjustment of being. Okay, we've been saying that other ways, right? The readjustment of being. What does that readjustment of being means? It means changing ourselves, changing our character and our personality. It's very interesting in Spiritist literature when they talk about people, they talk about personality. Oh, that's a personality, or he's got a good personality. That, they even talk about these people in the lower zones that are cruel masters of cities. They go, oh, when he turns, he's going to be a really good high spirit. He's going to be a good personality when he turns his head to the good. And so why do they call us? Why is the readjustment of our being so important? Oh, hello, Rosalind. So why is the readjustment of our being so important? Because that is all we take with us when we're out of here, right? We don't take anything else. We don't take our money. We don't take our toys. We take our character and personality. Now, on Earth, right, we say, all men are created equal. And we know that that's not really true as far as physically or mentally. It's equal under the eyes of the law, meaning that we have an equal right to justice. But in the spirit world, you really are created equal. And in fact, you can look the way you want to look. So if a group of spirits got together and they all wanted to look alike, they could all look alike. The only difference is what? Is their personality and their character. When you started talking to them or actually reading their minds, you would know who was who. And that's why it's so important. And that's why each spirit in the spirit realm has the ability to be, as smart as they want, loving as they want, because as you rise, you need to balance all of these things. But let's just talk about us lower spirits, right? We can become a great musician or an author if we really want to work on that time after time after time, life after life, right? Anyone can do that. We all have the equal capacity for intelligence, creativity, etc. It depends on what you want to work at, and it depends how you have your personality and your character influence those facets within that logical persona. And this is all why we're here. He says, the disease that scares us is just a tool of conscience for the readjustment of being. That's all you're doing is you're changing your brain waves and your logic path, your ratiocination for the better. In this way, any fear of the dark pictures of the moment in which we live must be replaced by the certainty of divine protection and by the understanding that the disease is collective proof for improving the relationship of humanity with the real values of life. Too much materialism, the cult of ego and money, are the face of those who at this moment panic, not with the loss of lives, but with the possibility of the economic and financial collapse. Boy, haven't we seen that? That will not come because it is not in the interest of the greater world to abruptly change human relations. Now, this to me was a very interesting. This gives me hope that whatever financial, especially for Brazil and the United States, I'm hoping that we come back with a recovery that is not too long. Now, I don't expect, a really fast recovery, but a recovery that, is measured in quarters, not in years, kind of like how Japan collapsed. And, they took them 20 years. Even now, they're not back where they used to be during that big boom time. But for us to come back within, quarters, not years. And I think, to me, that gave me hope that will happen when he said that financial collapse that will not come because it is not in the interest of the greater world to abruptly change human relations, which means if they had a grand depression, that would really change a lot more. I think this one is more, like I said, readjustment of being. And he said, but rather the awakening of consciousness towards a new form of work and production. And this is another one. New forms of work and production. People are having to work at home. Very interesting. So this is a lot of facets there that I'm sure that I am completely ignorant of, and that things will come out of this that things. Let's talk about that for a second. One is, like, I know in the United States, they said, we're going to let telemedicine, we're going to encourage telemedicine, whereas a lot of people, no, we can't have that. They're going to open that up, right? More work from home, which I think is much more humane. I think working at home is wonderful for a lot of people. I always enjoyed it. And of course, there's a lot of companies that want you to work there because they can watch what you do. I believe they get more work by people working at home, but that's everyone's opinion. So I think some of these things will get us towards a more loving and benign, economic system, I'm hoping, but we shall see. The next sentence is, fear is a reflection of the materialistic and greedy minds that have become ill. Now, of course, you see that all the time. Do not fear outbreaks or disease. Seek firstly vigilance and understanding over the means of contagion, and remember the serenity within yourself that soothes and sustains. So he's telling us is, look, as spiritists or spiritualists, whatever you want to call yourself, we know that is not that we don't sit passively by and let life take us, right? Now we have to do our part. Yes, our life, there's predetermined paths, there's classes we have to go, but that doesn't mean we sit on the couch and wait for someone to come and teach us. No, we have to be aggressive, disciplined, and try to do what we can. And then what Liel's telling us is, don't go out there and shake everyone and kiss everybody right on the cheeks so that you can get ill. No, be careful, right? Keep your social distance, wash your hands, do all that stuff. And so just do the common sense things, but don't do it in a panic state. Do it matter of fact, as this is what you do in these times. And knowing the fact that if you do these preventative measures and you still get sick, and if you may get sick, you'll recover, or if you don't recover, then that was your time to go back into the spirit world. And boy, if you're going to one levels of heaven, you're actually lucky, right? Because you're going to a wonderful place. So again, they're saying, don't get nervous about it, but keep your common sense, and don't worry about your materialistic situation right now. They will make sure some way that people will survive this and come out better. So do your part with tranquility and trust in the highest that does not neglect the ways of man, even if man does not perceive his actions. Jesus remains ahead of the world, and everything is in his enlightened and merciful hands. Watch and pray, Liel. Now, wasn't that a wonderful message? Weren't all these wonderful messages? So again, just as our Euripides told us, Jesus is at the helm, right? Driving the way. Well, Liel said the same thing as, why are you worried that, all this is going to be taken care of? You don't have to worry. Just try to maintain your calm, cool, and collectiveness, and everything, things will work out for the better. Hopefully, this will, as a collective humanity, this will make us think a little bit. And if every one of us listening to here, and you can tell your friends, please let us do our part. Please, everyone, be a comfort to people. Tell people everything's going to be okay. There's going to be cures for this. So there's going to be a vaccine. We're going to get out of this financial hole we're in, right? Because all economic activity stopped. But that's, problems are opportunities. It's a good opportunity for people to reintroduce themselves to family and friends, maybe by calls and Skype or whatever. But it's really to get back and think about, your family unit and your close ones and your loved ones and your grandparents and all that. So please spread this message. Tell people everything's going to be okay. Act like it, which is the most important. When you're in conversations, and I've done this too, right? You people are sarcastic, and especially this is the American and English, habit, is our sarcasm and our dark humor. Try to hold that back a little bit, the dark humor and the sarcasm, and try to be positive and happy that you're on the right side of the grass, right, as they say, and that everything's going to be okay. And it should be interesting to see how all this plays out, and there will be opportunities. So anyway, I wanted to say this. I want everyone, if you're interested in here, please, explore Spiritism more. If you're one who's not a Spiritist, but look at our at this channel and at the Kardec Radio page or this YouTube video that's up, please read the Spirit's book. It's very interesting. It's the headwaters of all this, and it will open your eyes. To me, some people read the Spirit's book, and I'm the same way. It's just like it was a revelation. It was the answers to the questions I have been seeking since I was old enough in high school to think about the larger things than just what I wanted to play with and what I wanted to eat when you're a kid, right? Because those are very important. I'm not going to put those down, but yes, these are like, why are we here? What is the purpose of our life? Am I me when I die? Well, yes, you are you when you die. This is why spirits give us messages, because they want us when we die to be a better us, right? To be ready and prepared to be in heaven. Now, if you want to learn more about heaven, I suggest you read my series of 3 books. And the first book is book 1 of Spiritism, and it's Heaven and Below. It talks about heaven, the processes, the organization, talks about Jesus in heaven, talks about what's on our level, the lower zone, and the also called the umbral in Portuguese, and the abyss or the darkness below the crust. And my second book is Spirits in the Spirit Universe. What are we as spirits? What's our power as spirits? How do we learn? How do we grow? How do we transform ourselves? Because we do physically transform ourselves. We become more energy and less matter. And then the third book is really what is really pertinent today, is how we are guided by spirits, which a lot of these messages have just reinforced that we are guided by the spirit world, that these things happen for a reason. And I talk about how we're guided individually and we're guided as a nation, as a whole, and how the whole earth will sometimes transform to planet regeneration and beyond. That we will have this change in vibratory and harmonics, and we'll actually see, different parts of the universe, because we will open up. Right now in our dense bodies, we can only see about 1/8 of us around us. We can't see other dimensions. We'll see more. We'll be able to communicate more with the spirit world. So I hope this has been interesting to everyone. And please go out and evangelize that everything's okay. Remain positive. Comments when you see news stories. Comments and say, "No, why is this news story so negative? I see it positive." So get out there and go against the tide. I want to say, everyone, God bless to everybody. God bless.